Without risk does not come great reward. That's what my dad always used to say, and I really do believe it. It's like, even though those risks can lead to embarrassing, failures and stuff, no matter what, the failure, once you get through it, will lead you somewhere better. I was working for Virgin Atlantic Airways. Everything was going really well, and they eventually shifted me across to Virgin Megastores. And I get there and I think, I'm amazing, I've got this, and it was all going well until I realized that, wait, I'm in a business I know nothing about, which would be music retail, at a time when the business was totally being disrupted because Napster had just been invented. But I just didn't listen to anyone, and I was just like doing what I thought was right. Eventually, one day I come into work and the HR person is sitting with my boss in my boss's office, and you know that's a bad sign. And that was the moment when they said, yeah, not only are we firing you, and only you, not a bunch of people, just you, but I got a 1 week of severance and a one-way ticket back to New Zealand. I lost my green card application, my visa, everything. It was pretty devastating for sure. I think the first thing is it's a very human reaction to sort of want to blame it on everyone else. And then you start sort of to realize a couple of weeks into it, you're trying to explain to someone why it was the company's fault, and you see that look in their eye that they don't really believe you. And that's because you don't really believe yourself. Like, I knew that I had it coming. When I really was honest with myself about it, I had brought it on myself. After the initial sadness, there's a lot of Ben and Jerry's, and then you finally pick yourself up and you sort of go, okay, enough with the pity party, I've got to get on. And I was getting out there and having interviews and quickly realizing that I just had to be super upfront about it. You've just got to say, here's what happened, I got let go, here's why, here's what I've learned from it. And it was amazing how, I think, disarming that was. That was basically 3 to 4 years from when I was, I guess, 26 to 30, around there, where I was essentially let go twice. And it was a pretty horrifying experience, because those are the years, I think, for most of us when we're like, this is where I've got to get my career going. I've got experience now, I should be progressing, and I just wasn't. Career-wise, the riskiest move I made was going to Gatorade, because at the time I was at Nike and I loved Nike. I was so happy, and I was on this a great career trajectory. Then I get offered this opportunity to go to a business that's massive, high profile, and in decline. So it was terrifying, and at the time I was pregnant with my third child, let's throw that in the mix. We launched the rebranding of Gatorade from the old logo to G, and we did this giant Super Bowl campaign, and the launch happened and sales went from flat to declining 20% every month. It was a pretty big disaster. There was a lot that we did wrong, but there were some real embers in the fire that were taking us somewhere new, and it was important to sort of distill those. I think having had the experiences earlier in my career of being fired and all these things going wrong, I was much more equipped to have the sort of resilience to get through, because Gatorade was tough. I can remember several times thinking to myself, I probably am going to get fired over this, and I'm okay with that. I don't think getting fired is something you have to do. I don't think it's a rite of passage, that's for sure. But I definitely think that if you can't really talk through failures that you have experienced and the sort of emotional growth and process you've gone through, then usually I'm like, have you been playing hard enough to discover where your potential really lies?